Thank you, Linda, and thank you for everyone being here today. I'd first off just like to acknowledge some special guests we have with us. We have MP James Bazan from Selkirk into Lake Eastman, doing great work. Standing beside him there is Sierra Bird, our Conservative candidate for Churchill. We also have, making the long 5-hour trip today, Frank Pullia and Linda Rydholm from Thunder Bay, our candidates there. A special happy birthday shout out to Linda. There we go. And of course we have our wonderful MPP Greg Rickford in attendance, who's delivered a level of investment that we have not seen provincially for quite some time. So keep up the great work. And I believe I did see Councillor Chris Van Willingham in the back, Town Councillor, so thank you for making it out today. I'm very excited to be able to introduce today's guest to you. He's the leader of Canada's Conservatives and the official opposition. But even more importantly, he is a husband and a busy father of 5 kids. And he has proven that with hard work and by standing up for what you believe in, that anything is possible. For example, he was first elected MP at the age of 25, beating out an incumbent member who was at the time the longest serving in the House of Commons. And And after the 2011 election, he became the youngest person ever to be elected Speaker of the House. And of course, in 2017, he became the leader of Canada's Conservatives. Since then, he has been traveling all across the country to share his positive Conservative vision for Canada. And I must say that this vision is gaining momentum each and every day. Our team has been hard at work, knocking on thousands of doors across the riding, and we are hearing a clear message that voters are dissatisfied with this tired Trudeau government, and they're motivated by our leaders' plan to put the country back on track, to make life more affordable, and to give you the opportunities to get ahead. Absolutely thrilled that he's able to be with us here today. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the next Prime Minister of Canada, Andrew Scheer.
Thank you very much for that warm welcome. Thank you very much, Eric, for putting this together, and thank you to everyone who has given some time out of your day to come join with our Conservative friends and supporters. And for anybody who didn't vote Conservative in the last election, thank you for coming today. Everywhere I go, I meet more and more people who come up to me and they stop me at airports or in coffee shops and they say, "I'm so sorry." And I said, well, that's a very Canadian way of introducing yourself to somebody, but they go on and they say, "I'm so sorry, I voted Liberal in the last election, but I'm not making that mistake in 2019, I'm voting Conservative this year." I want to thank our candidates for coming. I know it's a long drive coming up from Thunder Bay in the area there, and from northern Manitoba, from the Winnipeg area as well. Thank you very much, Greg, for being here. Now, Greg and I served together in the House of Commons when I was Speaker, and we don't agree on the same football teams. And in the middle of question period, it would be kind of high stress. I'd be kind of trying to keep an eye on everything, doing kind of keeping order. And I get these notes that Greg would send me, teasing me about my football team losing on the weekend. So, Greg, it's great to see you again. You're doing an amazing job for the constituents here in your provincial riding. Thanks very much for being here as well. This is a very busy summer for me. As Eric mentioned, I am the father of 5 wonderful children. My wife Jill is at home in Regina right now, managing all that. And sometimes I get a bigger round of applause for having 5 kids than other things. And for those of you that know, kids are fantastic. They bring a lot of challenges as well. We learned a lot having the 3rd and 4th and 5th child, and A friend of mine just recently had her her second child, and she asked what it was like to have your fifth child. I said, well, there's a comedian named Jim Gaffigan, and he sums it up perfectly. He has 5 children as well, and he tells the story this way. He says, when someone asks what it's like to have your 5th child, he said, imagine yourself drowning, and then someone throws you a baby. Yeah, that's what the 5th is like. With our first, it was different. Every time every time Thomas woke up, we were rushing in there at the crib. We were sanitizing everything. If he dropped something, we'd kind of clean it and give him something soother and things like that. With your 5th, it's much different. I remember putting Mary down to bed in her crib and turning a fan on in her room and closing the door, going to my room, closing our door, turning a fan on in our room. Someone asking, is Mary sleeping through the night? And I said, well, I don't know, but we are. She might be up every hour. But in addition to people coming up and saying sorry, things have changed in the last little bit as well. When I first won the leadership of the party back in 2017, a lot of people would come up and give me a thumbs up and wish me good luck. Now, after all this scandal, after all these tax hikes, all this incompetence, all these embarrassing trips around the world, now, after all the Trudeau Liberal corruption and interference and things like the SNC-Lavalin case, now people are coming up to me and they're grabbing a hold of my arm and they're digging their hands in and they're saying, Andrew, you've just got to beat this guy. We can't afford another 4 years of this Liberal government. And it's quite clear that Justin Trudeau just does not understand the challenges that hardworking individuals and families face in this country. He's never had to worry about the impacts of bad government policy making life more expensive. He never had to worry about $1.50 a liter gas. He's never had to worry about paying extra costs, extra fees, extra taxes. And we know that life is getting more and more expensive under the Trudeau Liberals. Over 80% of Canadian families are paying higher taxes today than they were 4 years ago. Canceling popular tax credits that made life more affordable, helping parents pay for kids' activities and kids' sport. I want to tell you that the Conservative Party of Canada has a vision for this country to make life more affordable. And it starts, I want to let Eric know and all our candidates here, the first piece of legislation that they will be asked to vote on, I know which way he's going to vote, will be for a piece of legislation that we are going to call the Act to Repeal the Carbon Tax. That is drawn number 1. The carbon tax just makes everything more expensive. It doesn't do anything to reduce our emissions. In fact, every single analysis shows that under the Liberal government, we are falling further and further behind our emissions targets. But you're going to have to pay that tax. And that tax isn't being applied to the country's largest emitters. So big corporations have got a special deal. They get up to a 90% exemption on the carbon tax, but each and every one of you will have to pay the full brunt. And I don't believe anybody here thinks that they're going to be better off when the Liberal government collects these carbon taxes, shuffles it around, moves it around from one pot to another and trickles back some rebates on the other hand. We know that that's not going to cover the full cost. When you add it to the cost of transportation, the cost of goods and services coming in from other parts of the country, everyone having to pay that higher tax is making life less affordable. We're going to repeal that carbon tax, but we're going to go one step further. The cost of living is getting more and more expensive. There's a real cost of living crunch in this country. We're going to find other ways to remove taxes from everyday essentials. And the GST and HST is not applied on things that are deemed to be necessities. So that's why you don't pay it on things like groceries and pharmaceuticals. And a Conservative government will go beyond just canceling the carbon tax. We are going to recognize that heating your home in the winter in Canada is not a luxury, it's a necessity. And we are going to remove the GST from home utility bills. And I talked about having children. I know there are many new parents who take those critical months off of work, going on maternity or parental leave to help raise those kids in those first few years. And life is expensive enough. Adding children is an extra challenge. And when new moms and dads take that parental leave, they give up 45%, up to 45% of their income. They take a reduced income when they go on maternity leave and parental leave, and they have to pay tax on that. So a Conservative plan to help leave more money in the pockets of new moms and dads will be to make those parental and maternity leave benefits tax-free, leaving more money in the pockets. These are just the proposals we've made before the campaign even starts. Once the election campaign gets underway, we're going to have even more to say about leaving more money in your pocket. We are going to run a government that lives within its means. We know the devastating impacts of 10, 15 years worth of Liberal deficits here in Ontario. We know the mess that the Kathleen Wynne Liberals left behind. And you know what? Those very people, those architects of those 15 years of scandal, corruption, wasteful spending, and higher taxes, they moved from Queen's Park to Ottawa. They are the architects of Justin Trudeau's first 4 years. No wonder it seems like what's happening federally is exactly what happened provincially under Kathleen Wynne, because it's the exact same people that are doing the same terrible things. And we know that we have to get back to balanced budgets so that we can stop adding new debt to the next generation of Canadian taxpayers. And we know that Justin Trudeau will follow the exact same playbook. Deficits today meaning higher taxes right after the election. That's exactly what the Ontario Liberals did here in Ontario. And when Justin Trudeau doesn't need your vote, but he still needs your money, he's going to go back to that tax hike playbook that Liberals are so famous for. We know he's going to do that because he's already done it. Remember the attack on small business. How many entrepreneurs or small business owners in the crowd today? How many people work for a small business? Those attacks on small businesses cost millions out of our economy, threaten jobs and opportunities in every single corner of this country. That attack on small business was so indicative of Justin Trudeau's mindset, calling them tax cheats, demonizing them just for trying to put some money aside to expand an operation, to have the ability to hire more people. And he demonized those people. He tried to raise taxes on health and health and dental benefits. He tried to take away the disability tax credit for people with diabetes. He hasn't met a tax hike that he doesn't like. And we know that after the election, he's going to go back to doing exactly that. So we're going to get back to balanced budgets over a responsible time frame so we stop borrowing more money from future generations of Canadians. Pretty soon, just paying the interest payment on the debt will be over $30 billion a year. That's coming right out of your taxpayers' dollar just to go to banks and bondholders. We're going to get back to balanced budgets so that we can leave more money in your pocket so that you can get ahead. That is our central message of this campaign, addressing the cost of living crunch by leaving more money in your pocket so that you can get ahead. And we're also going to get this back to being a country of yes again. Under Justin Trudeau, Canada's become a country of no. No to big projects, no to our energy sector, no to becoming independent when it comes to things like energy. Conservatives have a vision to get this country back to being the country of yes. Yes to pipelines that take Western Canadian energy to Eastern Canadian markets. Yes to a national energy corridor that once and for all can deal with the regulatory hurdles so that we can get an infrastructure project, getting electricity moving east and west and energy moving west to east as well. We have a vision for this country to get people back to work and make life more affordable. I believe, unlike Justin Trudeau believes that the world should be growing its energy sector, but that we should be punishing ours. He thinks that we should allow countries like Venezuela, like the United States and Saudi Arabia to keep supplying the world with more oil and gas, more energy. I disagree. I don't just believe that the world needs more Canadian oil. I believe that Canada needs more Canadian oil. So while Justin Trudeau will let those other countries fill that gap, I believe we should be an energy independent country. We don't need more foreign oil coming into Eastern markets, filling up motorist tanks with oil coming from Venezuela, Saudi Arabia. I want those tanks to be filled with Canadian energy. We will be an energy independent country under a Conservative government. And we are going to restore ethics and integrity back to Ottawa. While Justin Trudeau uses the power of his office to reward his friends and punish his enemies, we will bring ethical government back to Canadians and shine a light on his scandals and corruption. That is a commitment I am making to each and every one of you here today. But we need Eric to do it. We need our candidates in the region to do it. We need you to send more Conservative voices to Ottawa. So that is the pitch I'm going to make with you today. You help our candidates get elected here locally, and I will go along with our campaign team all throughout Ontario, Quebec, Atlantic Canada, and Western Canada, and I'll get the rest of them. And all of us working together, sending Eric and our candidates here, Linda and Fred, we can make sure, all of us working together. See, we don't have the same assets that the Liberals have. I don't know if you've noticed this, but we don't always get the same break in the media coverage on some of the issues that are going on. We don't have the same, sometimes I notice that. We don't have the same think tanks that immediately come out and validate Liberal positions and attack ours, but we have a secret weapon. We have each and every one of you. We have our grassroots organization across the country who aren't in it for themselves, who aren't helping our candidates get elected so they can have a hotline to government services, so they have an inside track on government policy. That's what the Liberals are doing. They're in it for themselves. They're in it for the billionaire families like Loblaws getting $12 million to replace fridges while each and every one of you have to pay the carbon tax. That's what motivates Liberals, getting into power to give out contracts to their well-connected friends. We're all in it, not for ourselves, but to make Canada a better place. And all of us working together. This grassroots organization working across the country, each and every one of us, we can and we will make sure, getting our candidates elected, we can make sure that Justin Trudeau is a one-term Prime Minister. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for your support.